Welcome to the Wisdom from Within podcast. My name is Jen Axe, and I am your host. This is where mindset meets body set, where we access both so that we can make the most genuine, authentic, empowered impact on those we love and those we serve. Let's get started. Hello, Cortney. Oh my gosh. Welcome to Wisdom from Within. It is so awesome to have you here.
It is so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm just going to share a little bit about Cortney to those that are listening. Thank you all for being here. This is going to be such an exciting, incredible conversation because Cortney is amazing. I was on her podcast a while ago and immediately I just felt connected, inspired to the work that you do. And the purpose for this podcast, Wisdom from Within, it is all about hearing these human stories, the resiliency within us, the wisdom from within that have led you to your life, to your work, and how it's really impacted your life. And so the purpose and the intention is to really help people understand what the wisdom is, why it's important, and how it can enhance our impact that we're meant to make in the world, which is what you do so beautifully. So today we have Cortney Ostrosky. Did I say that right?
You did. You nailed it.
Let's go. Cortney is a wellness and transformational coach helping women glow from the inside out. As the creator of the Glow Up app, membership, illuminations, and the 30-day Glow Up, she blends 2 decades of experience in wellness, mindset, and personal development to help women feel vibrant, confident, and fully alive. With contagious energy and heart, Cortney designs transformational experiences and courses to awaken your power and the light within you to create lasting personal transformation. I mean, incredible, amazing. I love it all. And I think where I would love to start with you is, how did your journey begin? You're so connected to your body and this intelligence. And I'm really curious about how you got connected to it and how it has helped you create all that you've created in your life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for allowing me to share because I haven't actually really shared this in a while. And I think a lot of times people kind of see what you're doing in the moment, but they don't see the backstory or how you got to where you're at. And I think it's really important. And from a very young age, I was very tapped in spiritually. I felt the presence of God, of this higher power, of this infinite love. It was very much a part of my life. But I always felt like at a very young age, I was questioning everything. And I was really curious and I would always ask why. And the turning point for me really happened after my first year at college. I did the thing where you finish high school and you go to college, and I could just see how my life would play out if I continued on this path of what I call being plugged into the matrix, right?
Yes.
It's you do the 4-year school, then you get the husband and the house and the white picket fence and you're working for the man. And every part about that life made me cringe. And it felt like I would have to dim that light within. And I would have to really disconnect from source and from my inner guidance system and from what I was being called to, which was to truly serve the world with my gifts. And I did not see the 4-year traditional academia matrix serving me in that way. So after my first year of school, I said, peace out. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was like, I'm moving to California. I'm going to go. I lived a very sheltered, very, I don't even know, just a very simple life, in the country, grew up without being exposed to a lot. And I felt like I was ready to see the world and I had no plan. I had no job. And I went to California and I immediately got plugged into a mom and pop health food store. And I also started working for a holistic chiropractor. So those two jobs actually set
Mhm.
me on the trajectory of everything I do today, because I learned about wellness and health and how we're connected to nature. And that helped me to heal from some disordered eating and be more in my body. And then learning about
Mhm.
body work and
Mhm.
the understanding of energetics with this chiropractor. It was like a 4-year school in a year's time. And
Wow.
that's kind of what set me up for everything that I do today. It really opened my eyes to another world, another path, healing, wellness, embodiment. And yeah, we've come a long way. That was
Wow.
22 years ago.
Okay. There's so much in there. I love it all. I love it all. And kudos to you for having the courage to really make such important decisions in your life because, as you were stating, society has a
Mhm.
path for us. And so when we step outside of that path, there's a lot that can happen. And it's a very courageous move. And I'm curious about how did you, was it a logical guide, or were you in your body, was your body saying like this is not happening, and what did that
That is
sound like? Yeah.
That's such a great question, because this is where we often get it wrong. Logically, that move made no sense. Like, no one in my life understood why. No
Right.
one, it wasn't the plan. There was no logical point A, point B. Absolutely not logical. It was this deep feeling in my soul. And it was this intuitive call to go to California. And I followed it. And every time I have followed that intuition within, and it is very much connected to my body. I am aware of my body's sensations when something is a
Mm-hmm.
yes and something
Mm.
is a no. And every time I listen, I am amazed, even when it doesn't make logical sense. Usually it doesn't make logical sense. But when I don't listen, I'm
Right.
always kicking myself for it in the end.
Oh my gosh, I love it. What does it sound like? What does it sound like when your body's pulling you in a direction, or what
So
does it feel like, I should
that's what I
say?
was going to say. It's more of a feeling, and it's hard to explain with words because it's not a logical linear thing, right?
Right.
But it's this, typically in my body, it doesn't mean that it's just a yes and expansive. Sometimes there's real fear or nervousness there, but I have been able to, through years of self development and years of being a seeker and practicing yoga, I've learned how to really peel back the layers of the mind and the conditioning and the stories
Mm-hmm.
and the making, and really drop into my body where truth lives.
Mm.
It feels like this inner knowing that cannot be, it's unshakable. It cannot
Right.
be messed with. And it's this, again, it's not always just rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes
Right.
there's a little
Yeah.
resistance or a judgment or even
Sure.
fear, but
Right.
it's this embodied feeling of like, I know in my bones, in my soul, in my heart, I am meant to do this. And
Mm.
it's not from a place of ego. It's
Right.
not from a place of the mind chatter. It's
Right.
truly this body wisdom. It's this intuition wisdom that just, I feel I've worked really, really hard to
Right.
connect to throughout my
Right.
life. And it ebbs and flows. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
far from perfect, but
Totally.
yeah, and I do
Um.
think that experience is different for everyone. You know, how it shows up for
Absolutely.
me in my body might
Right.
be different for you,
Right.
but yeah.
So I love it. How there's so many people I come across and they're just like, God, it sounds so good. I want to
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
guidance sounds perfect and it's like from within and I want to follow it and and there's this craving and it sounds good.
Yeah.
But really practical, in the practical sense, people want to know, well, how? Like how do I start paying attention, and why? Like, why does it matter? So how do
Mhm.
I start and why does it matter? I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, for me, it started, and this is a continual practice. It started by taking really good care of my body,
Mhm.
nourishing it, moving my
Mhm.
body,
Mhm.
dance.
Mm.
It was not just like my body is this vehicle for me to go work in the world and pay
Right.
taxes. It was like
Mhm.
seeing my body as this gift and temple that I
Mhm.
revere, that I'm a steward of, and creating a really deep, beautiful, loving relationship with my body.
Mm.
And through that, I was able to learn how this body speaks to me in subtle ways and sometimes really loud ways. And what I've learned is to like listen for the whisper, because our bodies are always communicating with us. And if we don't listen to the whisper, it's going to scream. And sometimes that
Mhm.
is pain or,
Mm.
disease or, different things. But when we learn how to pick up on our body's subtle cues, and that could be how we're feeling physically, how we're feeling emotionally, it could be sensations like tingling or expansiveness or constriction or tension. Like our body is always communicating with us. And I always
Right.
think of it as feedback. It's
Mm.
not good or bad. I'm not judging it. It's just feedback.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
telling me like when I'm in alignment and when I'm out of alignment. And the practice of nourishing my body, huge. Like I don't want to put poison in my body, because that, and by poison, I mean like, toxic food. I don't drink
Right.
alcohol. Like I want my body to be pure and clear. So it's like a clear channel. There's no uh,
Right.
fog in the middle of the
Yeah.
channel, right?
Yeah.
It's like a clean, clear channel. So I'm listening, I'm in tune, I'm
Right.
tapped in, I'm connected.
Right.
But also the practices like yoga, meditation, breath work,
Mm.
reading, self-inquiry, journaling, those are
Mhm.
all practices that help me to
Yeah.
really be self-aware
Yeah.
and introspective and
Yeah.
present in my body and listening and communicating, and not just again in the mind, like analyzing my body. Like I'm not thinking
Yeah.
about my body, I'm feeling my
Feeling it.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Before
the
we
part
get into, like,
or
why
yeah,
it's so important, what's
yeah.
that? Wait,
I was
what
just
was
going to finish up with the why, but yes, no, carry
Oh,
on.
yeah, right, exactly. So before we get to the why, something that's striking me is, all of this is amazing and I'm so in alignment with it. It's like the yoga and the nourishing and all of this. And then there are the people, and I totally get it. It's like that are going so fast in their life, that are leading their life on like high speed, whether they're in the space of yoga, meditation and all that, or they're in the space of like corporate and like up at
Mhm.
6 and back home at 10 or whatever. And their lives are packed. Something that I'm feeling from what you're saying too is on the flip of just listening to the whisper and sitting on the yoga mat and trying to tap in. When we're out of alignment completely, we need to notice, like when we start feeling very anxious, or God forbid, diagnosed with a disease potentially, or when we have like this, it's not this quiet whisper, when it has become this loud scream, like what can that look like? Because some people that are listening to this might be like, okay, I've got so much going on. These are some of the signs that you can look for to know that your body is saying, please, please pay attention to me and relax and settle in and start taking care of me. So I was just
Mhm.
wondering,
Yeah.
what are some of
Yeah.
those like loud,
For
you know,
sure. I
yeah.
think anxiety is huge.
Mm, hmm.
Depression,
Right.
insomnia, digestive issues. All of this also really stems from a dysregulated nervous system. And the
Right.
lives that we're all, like many of us are currently living, is so disconnected from nature and the natural cycles of the world and how we were designed to live. And
Hmm.
we're being plugged into this very masculine, very hustle and grind, kind of culture that,
Yeah.
especially as women, we're not designed for that. And it's like we because we're living out of alignment, and because we're living so disconnected from nature, and because our nervous systems are dysregulated, it can show up in a whole slew of ways
Hmm.
that really just lead to us not feeling good,
Mm,
chronic fatigue, autoimmune issues,
yeah.
and the list can go on and on. And anyone that's listening that's like, I can relate to that, I just want them to know there is another way, and
Yes.
you can turn it around.
Right.
It's not that life has to be that way all the time, and it can start by
Hmm.
making subtle shifts, or maybe it's requiring you to make a big shift.
Hmm.
I read
Hmm.
something recently, and it was like people work jobs they hate to make money, to buy things, to impress people they don't even like, to like, it's like, it's like being really self-aware of like why you're doing the life or the career that you're doing. Is it because of this rat race that you're involved in, or is it from a true place of
Right.
joy? Like I have friends in the corporate world and that is their purpose. They love
Yeah.
it, they thrive. And then I have friends that are just doing it because they want to make their family proud, but they're miserable, you know?
Right.
So it's just really good to get clear on the why
Yeah.
and get clear on your values and get clear on your health. And is
Mm.
this, you know, what is
Mhm.
your body telling you? Like maybe this lifestyle needs some tweaking, right?
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
regulate.
Yeah. I love this. And I'm also feeling like, you shared a little bit about your story at the beginning, but it's making me think about how the why, like we want to get connected to the why so we can get on track, not only to self-regulate, like it sounds like you really went from a place of possible, confusion or like following society to alignment and then your path to, so the why behind this need to connect to the body and the body's wisdom is to also, yes, relax the nervous system, yes, take care of our body, and also create the impact that we're meant to in the world, which brings me to your work. Like, because you followed your body, because you listened and you knew that that path wasn't right for you, and then you redirected, and not only did you get healthy mind, body, and soul, but you were able to create a business. And
Mhm.
as a result of that, creating great impact. So I'm curious for you to speak a little bit about that. And that's connected to like that second question that I had, which is why it's so important, not only again from that self-regulation and that ability to breathe and be happy, but also to then to create business or impact or, design our life the way we're meant to. So I'd love to hear
Yeah.
your perspective on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And your question was like, why? Repeat the question really
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
because my
I know.
mind
I
just
went
went in
off
a
on
million
a thousand
directions.
different.
And I'm like, wait, I want to make sure I answer your
Yes,
question.
the question is around not only becoming healthy in our bodies to become healthy in our bodies so that we can relax those screams and
Mhm.
just get self-regulated and redirected, but also when we're in that space we can create vision for our life that
Mhm.
impact whether it's our families or our children, our friendships, our communities, and businesses. Like we can
Yes.
create from that place. So you've done
Yes.
that, you've created a
Yes. Yes. Yes.
business. And so I'm wondering how that body wisdom has really impacted you in that way and allowed you to create the business, the impact that
Mhm.
you're doing so beautifully now.
Yeah. So getting myself in check physically and with my body, and we've talked about embodiment and the intuition and all of that, that has really been my guidance in life and every
Hmm.
decision I make and every career pivot I've made and every uh relationship I've had. It's like it comes from this place of feeling aligned from
Hmm.
within. That
Right.
looks like, again, physically aligned by eating well, moving my body, all of that. But it also
Right.
looks like I'm in alignment with my values.
Right.
My values being freedom, connection, impact. I wasn't in alignment with those values when I saw myself going down that path
Right.
of the traditional route, right? So I would have been out of alignment. And what I've noticed is the more I'm in alignment, meaning I'm making decisions and taking actions that are rooted in my values and I'm in integrity and
Right.
I'm not just like projecting one way, but really I'm a different way. Like
Right.
all of that is just disconnection and we're out of alignment. So when we're out of alignment, we're losing energy, we're losing clarity, we're
Right.
unfulfilled. But also when we're out of alignment, we're like leaking other icky energy in. It's like we're not this sealed vessel, so to
Yeah.
speak. And I'm an energy person, so forgive me if you guys aren't into the energy talk, but
I
it's
get
all
it.
energy.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's truly allowed me to create a business that works with how my body wants to show up. For instance, I'm not an early morning person. I just never have been. So I've been able to create a career where I don't take calls or meetings or appointments until after 11, you know?
Mhm.
It's allowed me to work with the people that I know I can
Mm.
impact the most because there's
Yep.
alignment, because I'm
Right.
clear about who I am and who I can serve. The right people find me, you know?
Yep.
I made really good money last year, and it's not about the money amount, but it's the fact that I was able to do it in a way that felt free and purposeful and in alignment with my values, and I'm able to take precious care of my body, you know? And
Mm.
so the opportunities are
Yeah.
endless if you
Yeah.
are choosing yourself
Yeah.
and living in alignment and using the body as the source of wisdom rather
Mm.
than an annoyance that just
Yeah.
is in the way, right?
Right.
It's like we have this body for our entire lives. You can
Right.
choose to, you know, not take care of it and see it as an enemy, or you can choose to be in love with it and see it as a tool and a compass, and it's never going to let you down. You know, our
Yeah.
bodies are so evolved, our senses are so evolved, more so than the mind has been able to catch up with. It's like we sense things that our mind, it's like 10
There's
steps
a
behind,
disconnect.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I think people like you and I, it's almost like we've developed this super sense. We have this like genetic mutation where we can sense things. We're more maybe empathetic or in tune with others' energy. And it allows us to kind of transcend the logical mind in a way and see a different path.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say that, I truly believe we all have that capability. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of really getting to know that wisdom and those intelligence systems inside of us. And, I speak a lot about the emotional, kinesthetic, and somatic intelligence, and that we all have access to it. And that actually it's within our DNA, and it's what our ancestors relied on to thrive and survive. And we have it. We just haven't been taught how to listen to it. So we all have access to this. And it's about how do we gain that access to listen so deeply so that we can be led by this intelligence within us. And clearly you have done that. And a lot of people, and I feel like I have done that as well. And that is the mission, right? To awaken these systems, this wisdom within us, so that in a way that we can hear it and listen to it and be led by it. And so my practice is the power of gesture. And what you're suggesting is like the meditation and really nourishing your body and listening with by clearing out the noise and sort of the toxins within.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
curious how people like work with you. How do you
Yeah.
help your clients get to this place of that clarity?
Yeah, it's funny because when people ask this question, I'm like, "Oh Lord, how much time do you have?" Because my career
Right.
I'm very multi-passionate, very
Right. Ah, I
multifaceted.
love that
I'm a
multi-passionate. Let's
Yes,
go.
yes, multi-passionate solopreneur is what I call myself. But, you
I
know,
love it.
I started off in like health and wellness, and then I got into body work and became a massage therapist. And I've traveled with professional athletes all over the world, and that's so fun and a big part of what I do. I have done many years of study and training in yoga, so I teach yoga
Mm,
privately and to athletes, and I also host international retreats and private retreats also in Charleston and here at Lake Keowee.
mm,
Um, I have I
love it.
have like shuffle pop-up classes, which is a style of dance that I've fallen in love with this year that is so much fun. And that's
Amazing.
kind of something I'm just doing for fun that's really filling my cup. And
Mm,
it's a really fun embodiment practice that to me, it's like it's purely for the joy. And that's a big part of embodiment for me too, is truly it's joy. It's really simple. Like we can
mm,
talk about it, it can sound complicated, but it's really simple. And tapping into your joy, following your joy, I think is one of the quickest ways to really tap into that wisdom within. But I also have an Airbnb. I have private coaching clients. I have a 30-day program called the Glow Up, where we really do that internal work so that you light yourself up from the inside out. What else do I do? Human design readings. I mean, I do so many things,
so you
and
bring a lot of tools to
I
help
bring a
people really
lot,
awaken.
and I really do see each client, like what can I bring from my wheelhouse of knowledge that's going to serve them and add value? And it's never like a one size fits all. Like, my body work clients, I might mention a book that I'm, recommended to a coaching client, or I like to connect people. And I just crave knowledge and learning. It is so, that is
Mm.
just like a thing that brings me joy. So it just makes sense that I coach and teach and lead, because I want to share it with the world and empower the world with this wisdom like you're doing. It's very fulfilling.
Mm. I love that. I appreciate that so much. And I think it's so beautiful that, you were able to really create that pause and redirect your life, which opened up all of these new inspirations and you said multi-passionate,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you've got space in your life to create not only to live these passions, but to create outcomes and impact with these passions. And that's what becomes available for us when we really get to know who we are and what lights us up. I love your glow up. I think that's incredible. So clearly that came directly from your own story, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
glow up. I want to ignite that for people. Can you talk a little bit about, you mentioned, there were times when you didn't listen to that internal wisdom and that it really didn't serve you so well. I mean, I think that's important to have that
Mhm.
conversation as well. And I'm curious if you can give some insight around that.
Yeah, I would say it's shown up for me the most in the realm of relationships, like
Mm.
with men, like
Mhm.
partnerships. And I will say that I really believe there was a part of myself that wasn't trusting myself and my intuition, but it was like logically, they look great on paper. I was
Right.
letting that is the one realm of my life where maybe I lacked confidence due to not seeing super healthy relationships growing up. Like I don't know. It was
Mhm.
kind of like my dad's on his fourth marriage, my mom's on her third, So I don't know if like there's some not being modeled like what true commitment and long form relationships really look like, if that hindered my growth in that area. But I definitely saw myself repeating some patterns with men of, in my heart and soul, I felt like these relationships were draining my life force. Like I felt
Mm.
just constant anxiety. I felt like not
Mhm.
good in my body. And sometimes that
Mm.
showed up as actual chronic pain or debilitating gut issues. And I
Mhm.
really feel like that
Mhm.
was my body. Like I hadn't listened to the whisper. So it was then screaming at me.
Yep.
And that's an area where, like, for instance, the past year I dedicated to being single
Mm.
and really focusing on myself, my energy, becoming the woman of my dreams so that I can then call in the man of my dreams, but really focusing my attention inward because I realize I'm the common denominator here. So, and
Mhm.
all I can change is myself. So if I want to get different results in life, I need to go within and see what part of me is unhealed that is creating this result. What part of
Mm.
me needs more love? What It's always just feedback, and I like to take radical personal responsibility for where I'm at and the results that I'm getting, whether I like them or I don't, right? It's on me. I'm
Right.
the creator of my experience in my life. And being in that mindset of I'm creating the world versus I'm a victim to it has changed my life.
Mhm.
And I feel now like after taking that time, I'm gonna enter the realm of relationship in a much more grounded way where I'm
Mm.
very clear on what it is I'm desiring and boundaries that I have. And I'm not going to settle or like drop the bar just to like check off that box,
Mhm. Mhm.
for
I love that.
validation or for
Yep.
approval. And so
Yes.
that's just one area that definitely
Mhm.
I know I had to do a lot of work on to,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, get back into the body's wisdom and not let the logical
Absolutely.
mind override, because it didn't work and I was miserable. So,
Yes. Yes. The beautiful thing about what you're saying is again, you've mentioned the word curiosity a few times. You had the curiosity. And I think that's a core element to getting back on track, because it's not even back on track. It's just on track, in my opinion, because there's no back. It's like we're just moving forward here. And those experiences that you had with your parents, and those relationships that they entered and they exited, and the influence that all of that had on you was for you, not against you. It was for you.
Absolutely.
And we can really see that through the lens of curiosity. What
Mhm.
was my experience as a child, being witness to my parents getting married and divorced and all of that, and really taking ownership as opposed to being the victim, like you said,
Yeah.
and learning from it. So curiosity is key. And for the listeners, I think it's just so important, because so many people say, like, where can I start? And I feel, I don't know about you, but a lot of people that I work with, and trust me, I was there myself too at one point, it's kind of like, we have to shift from this happened to me to this happened for
Yeah.
me. And I think that that's one thing that we can take action on. Yes, listen to the body. Yes, all the things. And specifically get curious about your life and who you are and your life experiences, because there's so much wisdom there. And it sounds
Mhm.
like it fed your intelligence completely, like it
Mhm.
showed you the kind of relationships that you want to have, and inspired you to take this pause that you're taking, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, and I don't think I would have the emotional depth or empathy that I have had I not
Right.
gone through that growing up,
Right.
truly. I
Yeah.
believe, like, when anything happens that we don't love, it just gives us more clarity on what we do love, right? Or
Right.
if it's something that happens that we don't want, we get more clarity on what we do want. Anytime we
Mm.
go through something challenging, it expands us. That's how we grow. That's how we can hold more. So,
Yeah.
yes, I truly see any challenge I've had in life, I choose to see it as it is happening for me, even if it makes no sense in the moment,
Right.
even if it sucks. It can suck, and I can still find a golden nugget in it in some way, even if it's just having more empathy and being able to serve with
Exactly.
greater empathy,
Right.
and it just to have that perspective of life, like you shared, it feels so much better because I have definitely lived in that victimhood place and it sucks.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't feel good, and it's just like this low vibe energy and everything is wrong and I'm the it's just like
It's not a
I
healthy place to be.
it's not a healthy place
And
to
it's
be.
a natural one. It's a natural
It
one. I understand that we move through those phases, and this podcast, Wisdom from Within, is not only to understand how do we tap in, but then to use what we learn to help us be better leaders in the world, to help
Mhm.
us create deeper impact. And
Yeah.
it circles back to what you just said, is when we move through our experiences, we lean in with curiosity, we learn, we get reconnected. And then when we serve, we have an empathy.
Mhm.
We have a deepened empathy and connection to compassion. And when we can do that, it's so much more impactful as a leader as a parent, or a leader at work, whatever it is, or a leader on stage when you're guiding people
Mhm.
and facilitating. That empathy shines, and it
Yeah.
comes from, right, our personal stories. So it's unique and authentic impact, which is what I love so much. What were you going to
Yeah.
say?
And
Yeah.
it's like that hard thing that you went through is actually, as a leader, going to make you so much more relatable to
Mm,
other people. Because I
true.
think a lot of leaders, I don't know, there's a lot of pressure on them to like have it all together and be quote unquote perfect, but connection comes through vulnerability. And the people that I admire the most, some of my mentors and people I love from afar, or authors or whatnot, had some of the most troubled childhoods I've ever heard of. The trauma
Right.
and they used that pain and they turned it into purpose. And because they've been so vulnerable about sharing that, it makes them feel more human and relatable to me, you
Exactly.
know? So any
Exactly.
leader out there, I really think there's so much power in your true story and your vulnerability, and that's going to allow people to connect and really be on board,
Yeah,
to
I
support you.
totally agree. I totally
Mhm.
agree. And leadership truly is everybody, every single
Yeah.
person, in my opinion. If you're influencing another human being, you're a leader and you're
Or
a
you're
self
leading
leader.
yourself. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yes, exactly. I love it so much. I can't believe it's like time. I could talk
I
to
know
you
it's crazy. It
forever.
flew by.
It really did fly by. I'm so grateful to you. I truly am. Thank you so much for sharing a bit about your story, the work you're doing, and the inspiration it all came from. Truly amazing. How do people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, if you go to my Instagram, Cortney108, and that's Courtney with no U, Cortney 108. Everything is linked in my bio, my website, retreats, updates. I'm trying to condense things. Like I have a
Yes,
Substack and all these things, but just go there. That's an easy
exactly.
central hub. And then from there, send me a DM, say hello. I like to actually use social media to be social and connect and stay in touch
I
with
love
everyone.
that.
Yes.
I like to use social media to actually be social. I love that. That's awesome. Um, Amazing. I thank you for your presence. I really do. And I'm excited to continue this relationship and partnership and all the things. So thank you, listeners, for coming. And I'll see you next week on Wisdom from Within. Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you so much. Bye.
Of course.